Hello students, welcome back to my channel English Beacon. In my last video, I told you about the sentence and its parts, the subject and the predicate. Today, I will be explaining the kinds of sentences. So please keep watching till the end. In English grammar, there are 5 kinds of sentences depending on their purposes, functions and structures. These 5 kinds of sentences are the assertive sentence, the interrogative sentence, the imperative sentence, the optative sentence and the exclamatory sentence. One by one, I am going to explain all these 5 kinds of sentences. To begin with, the assertive sentence. It makes a statement or tells us a fact. The assertive sentence expresses a fact or makes a statement. It has 2 types, the negative and the affirmative. For example, I go to school. This is an assertive sentence. Subject plus verb plus other words is the structure of the assertive sentence. It makes a plain statement. The negative form of the assertive sentence is I do not go to school. If no, not or never is used, the assertive sentence becomes negative, but in the affirmative form, we make a positive statement. I go to school is the affirmative sentence and I do not go to school is the negative form of the assertive sentence. So, we understand that the assertive sentence makes a plain statement or tells us a fact or truth, and it has 2 types, the affirmative and the negative. Next, we have the interrogative sentence. It asks a question. There is a question in the interrogative sentence. It also has 2 types, the open interrogative sentence and the closed interrogative sentence. The open interrogative sentence cannot be answered in yes or no. What I mean to say is, the open interrogative sentence does not have an yes or no answer. For example, where do you reside? Where do you live? You answer this question by mentioning the name of the place where you live. The open interrogative sentence starts with a WH word like what, where, when, which, how, who, etc. The open question or the open interrogative sentence has the structure of WH word plus auxiliary verb plus subject plus verb and other words. So, the open interrogative sentence cannot be answered in yes or no, and it starts with a WH word. Mind you, in the interrogative sentence, the auxiliary verb is always placed before the subject and the principal verb comes after the subject. This is very important. For example, if I ask a question like where you live, it's wrong. I have to put the auxiliary verb before the subject. Where do you live? This do is the auxiliary verb that will come before the subject you. Where do you live? What are you doing? I cannot say what you are doing. This is not an interrogative sentence. The structure is wrong. Where do you live? What are you doing? This are will come before the subject you. So after the interrogative sentence, we must not forget to put the question mark or the punctuation mark of a question. Before the after the assertive sentence, we put a full stop or period mark, but after the interrogative sentence, we use the interrogative mark or the punctuation mark of interrogation. The closed interrogative sentence can be answered in yes or no, and it does not start with a WH word. It starts with an auxiliary verb. For example, do you live in India? Now see here, no WH word is coming. This sentence starts with the auxiliary verb do. Do you live in India? And this question can be answered in yes or no. Yes, I do. No, I don't. So if a question is answerable in yes or no, it is called a closed interrogative sentence, and it has the structure of auxiliary verb plus subject plus principal verb plus other words. And this closed interrogative sentence is also ended with a question mark. So we understand that the interrogative sentence asks a question. It has two types: the open interrogative sentence, which cannot be answered in yes or no, and starts with a WH word, but a closed interrogative sentence can be answered in yes or no, and it starts with an auxiliary verb. The interrogative sentence ends with a question mark, whereas the assertive sentence ends with a full stop. Up next, we have the imperative sentence. The imperative sentence expresses a command or a request or advice or prohibition, etc. The imperative sentence has a strange structure. It starts with the first form of the verb in the affirmative form, and it starts with don't or do not in the negative form. The imperative sentence also has two types, the affirmative and the negative. So the structure of the imperative sentence is verb 1 plus other words, whereas in the negative form, do not plus verb 1 plus other words. As a matter of fact, the subject of the imperative sentence is always you, the second person pronoun you, but it is not expressly used, it is understood. For example, close the door. Now, this is an imperative sentence. Here we have the first form of the verb close at the beginning. Do not make a noise. This is a negative imperative sentence. It starts with do not. Or never tell a lie. It may start with never. So the imperative sentence always has the understood subject you, but it starts with the first form of the verb. It expresses a command, a request, advice, suggestion, prohibition, etc. In the case of a request, an imperative sentence may start with the word please or kindly. Please help me. This is also an imperative sentence. Kindly keep silence. So we understand that an imperative sentence has the structure of verb first form and other words. Next, we have the optative sentence. The optative sentence starts with the auxiliary verb may, followed by the subject and the first form, the verb. May God bless you. may you live long. We understand that the optative sentence expresses a blessing or a prayer or a curse, and it starts with may. Sometimes this may is understood, it is not used. God bless you. So an optative sentence expresses a blessing, curse, or a prayer, and ends with an exclamation mark. The imperative sentence ends with a full stop, just like the assertive sentence. The interrogative sentence ends with a question mark, and the optative sentence ends with an exclamation mark. Last but not the least, we have the exclamatory sentence. It expresses a strong emotion or feeling of the mind, and therefore this exclamatory sentence sometimes assumes an irregular structure. It starts with what or how generally. For example, what a lovely flower it is. How pleasant the morning is. What a brave man you are. So you can see that the exclamatory sentence generally starts with what or how. However, sometimes a sentence that is structurally an assertive sentence may also express a strong emotion of the mind and become an exclamatory sentence. For example, you are so kind. Now the structure is assertive, subject plus verb plus other words, but here it expresses a strong emotion of appreciation, and so it becomes an exclamatory sentence. And here the exclamatory sentence ends with an exclamation mark. So you are so kind, this is an exclamatory sentence. Sometimes an imperative sentence may also become an exclamatory sentence. Get lost. Now this is the structure of an imperative sentence, but it expresses a strong disgust or anger, so it's an exclamatory sentence, and here we will use the exclamation mark. So we understand that an exclamatory sentence expresses a strong emotion of the mind. It ends with an exclamation sign, and it has an irregular structure. Sometimes it starts with what or how. Sometimes an assertive sentence or even an imperative sentence may be used as an exclamation or as an exclamatory sentence. So these are the 5 kinds of sentences. I repeat: the assertive, the interrogative, the imperative, the optative, and the exclamatory sentence. I hope you have understood these 5 kinds of sentences. If you have benefited from my video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more such tutorial videos. Thank you very much.